Thank you so much for joining us in this press conference, the first press conference that we are having this year in 2023. We will be continuing this year exposing many of the issues that we found in regards to everything that happened during the COVID pandemic. And I'm here with 4 other colleagues of mine who you already got familiar with, who over the past year and almost year and a half brought to light, I would say, many issues that proved to be right in regards to everything that happened. So since our colleague Ivan has to go and have a speech in the plenary, I would like to give him the floor now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague, Mr. Terhes. Welcome everybody to our press conference. I will make a few short but very positive statements. I must say that I am very proud that we finally have invitations sent by the Special COVID Committee to President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. This is extremely important. I am very proud of my colleagues for starting the initiative, and after some resistance by the committee coordinators, finally managing and inviting Ursula von der Leyen. When she comes here, and she must come here, if she is not here, then it's all pointless, you know. If the Parliament and a committee of that Parliament, which was voted by the majority of the Parliament and founded by the majority of the Parliament, cannot get a person basically employed in European institutions, so to say, employed in that very institution or the Commission, it's the same basically. If we cannot get that person to answer very important questions, millions of human lives worth questions, billions of euros worth questions to the elected representatives in that same Parliament, then it's all pointless. So I do understand that we have some trouble with getting Mr. Borla from Pfizer here, but if Ursula von der Leyen declines or tries to do anything similar to avoid coming to COVID committee, then it's all pointless. Then this is a terrible defeat for European institutions and for democracy in general. Then we will see in what kind of Europe we live in. Nonetheless, I do expect for her to come, and not once, perhaps even more times, as much as necessary, because she has a lot to answer for. As far as we know, there are more and more reports and scientific research done by various scientists. As far as we know, the COVID vaccines were presented and promoted as extremely high-quality products that will solve all the problems. We know that that didn't happen. And we have the opposite. We have products with very bad features, and we have basically a massive consumer fraud, taking into account both the amount of people involved and the amount of money involved. The thing is becoming mainstream. You can now see news and outlets about COVID vaccine side effects, especially regarding heart diseases like myocarditis, on BBC or Reuters. So the tide has turned, and it has turned very much in the direction of scientific truth. I'm also very proud of this achievement. We have been on the right side since the very beginning of our activities, more than a year ago. So there will soon be more hectic public debate on these issues, on side effects. There are a lot of people that have problems, and these people need treatment. What we also want is for people who have problems with any kind of medication, in this case COVID vaccines, we need to recognize that, and we need to give these people help. We need to give these people treatment. Let this be one of the messages that we send here today. So it's beginning, and it begins with heart diseases and myocarditis. So a lot of work is yet to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Francesca?
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ivan, for introducing the topics, the fundamental topics of our press conference. I want to bring you up to date on the latest news from the COVID Special Committee, of which my colleagues and I are members. At the last coordinators meeting, in order to react to the Pfizer CEO's repeated reticence in answering questions regarding the contract concluded with the European Commission to provide the mRNA therapies for all member countries, the majority of the group's representatives in COVID committee decided to adopt the following measures. First, the withdrawal of authorization to access the EP for all representatives of the Pfizer company. And second, an invitation to appear before the COVID committee for a hearing addressed to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. On the first measure, we are awaiting the decision of the Conference of Presidents. On the second, the decision of the President of the European Parliament. In light of the serious facts of corruption that have emerged in the last month in the European Parliament and the pressing demands for more transparency coming from European citizens and a great many of our colleagues, we hope that both of the above decisions will be implemented. In international news on the subject of the so-called COVID vaccines, last week we learned from CNN that the US FDA advisors have denounced Moderna's failure to submit data on the infections of participants in trial for approval of its new bivalent booster. Such data would have made it clear that this updated product would be no more effective than the original one, based on a variant of the virus that is currently no longer circulating, in preventing COVID-19 infections. Simply put, that it would not work at all. By providing the data, Moderna feared that it would not get marketing approval for the updated booster. At the same time, Reuters broke the news that both the FDA and the US CDC had found that Pfizer-BioNTech's updated mRNA drugs might be linked to very serious adverse effects, such as brain strokes, which is more likely in people aged 65 and older. Of course, the companies involved have denied the existence of such possible risk. Both of these reports, disseminated by mainstream media outlets, safe from suspicions of spreading fake news, demonstrate once again how the fairness, reliability and seriousness of large pharmaceutical companies supplying mRNA gene therapies to EU member countries under contracts non-transparently and jointly negotiated by the European Commission President are indeed poor. Adding to the concerns already present about the efficacy and safety profiles of these drugs are the alarming data resulting from both European and non-European surveillance systems, which see a dramatic increase in cases of heart problems in the young and very young, of very aggressive cancer cases in all age groups, and of sudden deaths from heart attack, stroke, or unknown causes in young and healthy people. These data are also confirmed by Euromomo, the system for monitoring excess deaths from all causes in EU countries, which shows an abnormal and sudden increase in excess deaths in 2021 and 2022. At the same time, Twitter's new CEO allowed the release of the Twitter files, internal company documents showing how the US government, through the FBA, conditioned the Social Networks Board to prevent the dissemination of all information regarding early treatment of COVID-19 disease, the adverse effects of related vaccines, and any other information that contradicted the Biden government's policy. More specifically, it required Twitter and other social networks to censor undesirable content, although it was based on sound science, by any means, including the deletion of the accounts of eminent doctors, scientists and journalists. This made it clear that most of the content in recent years branded as disinformation about COVID-19 was actually correct information, but unwelcome to the US government. We believe that the health and lives of European citizens are the top priority that institutions should take care of. But we register a thrilling silence from EU institutions on these issues, and especially the absence of any initiative aimed at clarifying, investigating and ascertaining the extent and causes of this phenomenon. Therefore, we hope and strongly urge national governments, the European Commission, the EMA and all relevant institutions to initiate urgently a thorough investigation into the real causes of sudden deaths and serious adverse effects, which would examine separately the cases occurring in vaccinated and non-vaccinated subjects to establish a comparison of incidence rates. Furthermore, we believe it is necessary and of paramount importance that the medical scientific community coordinate to develop a protocol for early diagnosis and treatment of post-COVID vaccines disorders, starting with the most serious ones, such as blood clots, heart diseases, neurological disorders, and acquired immunodeficiency, in order to effectively prevent their exacerbation and possible fatal outcomes. If the EU cares about the lives and health of its citizens, let it prove it, not by spending billions more on vaccines of dubious efficacy and poor safety, but working seriously on patient care and transparency in informing regarding pharmaceuticals. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Virginie?
Merci. Tout d'abord, comme c'est encore la saison, je souhaite mes meilleurs vœux à tous et à votre famille. Je vous souhaite une bonne santé, du courage, et vous pouvez encore compter sur nous, le combat continue. Je vais revenir sur ces 2 dernières années parce que le temps nous donne raison et on va revenir sur ces mesures de confinement qui ont été des mesures liberticides. Disproportionnées, délirantes et totalement contre-productifs, 3 mots qui résument parfaitement les mesures de confinement qui nous ont été imposées. Des mesures qui n'ont eu que peu ou pas d'impact sur la mortalité due au Covid. Et nous le savions, nous, dès le premier jour. Car la Suède, qui a refusé de fermer complètement sa société, est-elle vraiment pire ? La Floride, où le courageux gouverneur DeSantis a défendu la liberté en refusant de suivre les ordres de Fauci, est-elle vraiment pire ? Et les nombreux pays africains, où il n'y a pas eu de lockdown à proprement parler, ont-ils péri ? Non, bien sûr que non. Alors, par contraste, regardez en ce moment les scènes chaotiques en Chine. Le pays a subi 2 années de lockdown totalitaire dont certains politiciens ici présents pourraient rêver. Maintenant, 2 ans plus tard, la Chine est en panne. Ces mesures de confinement imposées ont causé la misère, le désespoir et la souffrance de millions de personnes. Ils nous ont privés de notre liberté, ils nous ont privés de nos emplois, ils nous ont privés de notre santé. Et ce qui est sans doute le pire, elle a mis en péril l'avenir de nombre de nos enfants. À ce jour, des tonnes de rapports ont été publiés, suffisamment pour remplir une bibliothèque entière. Tout confirme les dommages causés au bien-être de nos enfants. Fermeture d'écoles, mesures de confinement, masques, absence de contact direct, perturbation des services de santé mentale. Tout cela a entraîné une montée en flèche des problèmes psychologiques. La colère, le stress, la dépression, l'anxiété et les pensées suicidaires ont atteint des sommets. Tragiquement, des millions d'enfants ont perdu des années de développement éducatif et social qui les affecteront pour le reste de leur vie. Une grande partie de ce développement est peut-être irréparable. Les dommages que ces mesures tyranniques ont causés au fondement même de nos sociétés libres et démocratiques sont également difficiles à réparer. Si ces lockdowns nous enseignent une leçon, c'est que nous ne pouvons jamais, et je le répète, jamais considérer notre liberté ou même notre propre santé comme allant de soi. Les droits fondamentaux seront piétinés à la première occasion par les élites qui nous gouvernent. Notre liberté, notre santé, notre bien-être sont entre les mains de technocrates et des grands groupes pharmaceutiques. Des élites promptes à montrer du doigt quiconque ne respecte pas strictement les ordres de couvre-feu. Des élites qui clouent au pilori quiconque remettrait en cause le vaccin ou refuserait de se faire vacciner. Mais maintenant que c'est à leur tour de rendre des comptes, elles se cachent dans leur tour d'ivoire en relevant le pont-levis. Oui, je parle aussi de ces plutocrates dont beaucoup viennent de s'envoler en jet privé pour Davos. Ils passent leur temps à se blottir les uns contre les autres dans leurs décantantes stations des Alpes suisses, où ils peuvent planifier des restrictions de nos droits civils lors de la prochaine pandémie, protégés du peuple par une armée de policiers afin que personne ne puisse leur demander des comptes. L'un des suspects habituels, sans surprise, est la présidente de la Commission, Madame van der Leyen, qui est introuvable lorsqu'il s'agit de demander des comptes. De quoi a-t-elle discuté lors de ce Davos avec le PDG de Pfizer lorsqu'elle a distribué 35 milliards d'euros de notre argent pour acheter des vaccins? Personne ne le sait. Le médiateur, la Cour des comptes, le Parquet européen, les États membres, ce Parlement et les citoyens, tous attendent encore des réponses. Mais nous continuerons la chasse pour découvrir la vérité, aussi longtemps qu'il le faudra, pour que chacun d'entre eux, au sommet de la galaxie européenne, rende des comptes de ces doctrines de verrouillage et de vaccination. Pour les enfermements, les vaccins obligatoires, les passes Covid, ils nous enseignent des leçons très importantes. La liberté n'est pas gratuite et elle n'est pas de droit. Que les droits civils ne peuvent jamais être considérés comme acquis. Que ceux qui gouvernent refusent d'être tenus pour responsables. C'est pourquoi nous devons prendre position et défendre nos droits. Et avec le soutien de tant de personnes, nous continuerons. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Virginie. Christine?
Yeah, thank you. Hello to everyone. I would just like to reiterate and elaborate on the decisions that have been taken in COVID committee. Number one, as you all know, CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, he chose to refuse an invitation extended by COVID committee twice. Now, Albert Bourla, he was not ashamed of taking millions and billions and billions of euros of the taxpayers, but he did not agree to answer the people's questions. It was about high time that Mr. Bourla is reminded of who is running the show here, and the show is being run by you, the people who paid for all of this, and the show is not run by Mr. Bourla, a close friend of Ursula von der Leyen, by the way. So we will move to have the access granted to all Pfizer representatives to come to this House. Like I said, it's about time they get a reminder of who is running the show here. The second decision that was taken by a majority in COVID committee was to invite Ursula von der Leyen. Now, since Ursula von der Leyen is the president of the EU Commission, we cannot directly invite her. This invitation will have to be extended by the president of EU Parliament, Roberta Metsola. I do hope, Mrs. Metsola, that you know who you are representing in this regard. And I truly hope that you will honor our request. We are the representatives of the people, that you will honor our request and extend that invitation to Ursula von der Leyen. Because the thing is this, your job is not to shield Ursula von der Leyen from people's questions. Your job is to ensure that the people get the question. So I do hope you will extend that invitation. And then we will see if Ursula von der Leyen will honor the people's request to answer whatever question we may have, or if she will, in fact, decline the invitation. And we will see to that the people in all of the member states will know exactly what and who the EU Commission's president is all about. So it's your choice. You can prove to all of the people that you, in fact, are interested in freedom, democracy, rule of law, transparency. It's up to you. I truly hope you will honor our request and will show up and answer our questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. I have to be honest with you, in the fall of 2021, when we started these press conferences, we never thought that we will be going this far. Because initially we reacted, I would say, to the fact that we were not allowed to exercise our mandate received from the people. If you remember, September, October of 2021, MEPs were not allowed to enter the European Parliament unless they show proof of the digital green certificate. At least in our case, we really fought hard. In my case, for example, I was even punished by the Parliament, cutting off my salary for a few weeks because I constantly refused to show the green certificate when I entered the Parliament. But that was not the case of the people who actually were employed by the Parliament. Our assistants, people that are translating here, people that are working in the Parliament, they had only two choices. They either get vaccinated or tested, every 2 days, or they had to find another job. And we said initially that that was not fair, It was not fair to them, it was not fair to us, and it was not fair to the people. Our arguments from the beginning, when we raised the issues about what was happening during the pandemic, initially were focusing only on the legal aspects. We argued, using the Treaty of the European Union, many other international conventions, that it is not right to force people to be injected with a medical product against that person's will and without a proper and an informed consent. Slowly, as the time passed by, more and more data was disclosed, not by us. Meanwhile, we had colleagues, who studied the medical aspect, and they raised serious concerns. But in the past year and few months, we've seen data released by official institutions, authorities, FDA, CDC, EMA, ECDC, which are raising serious concerns about the effectiveness of these vaccines. Here's a report about the excess mortality rate in the month of July 2022. Back then, 6 months ago, the excess mortality rate all across Europe was 16%, higher than the average between 2016 and 2019. Now, if you look on the map, we showed a similar map to one of these press conferences, where we compared the number of countries with the highest vaccination rates, and then we compared the countries with the highest infection rates. We were told initially that these injections are safe and effective, and we saw their effectiveness. Countries with the highest vaccination rate, back then at least, 6, 7, 8 months ago, had the highest infection rate. We raised the legitimate question, are these injections actually stopping the spread of the virus? Are they actually providing any immunity to the people who are injected with them? And initially we were told yes. Later on we found out that was false. Due to the COVID committee, or in this committee, one of the Pfizer representatives, when was asked if at least their injection was tested for the transmission of the virus, that person said on record that the vaccine or the injection from Pfizer and BioNTech was not tested to see if it's stopping the transmission of the virus. So on one side, it's not effective. In other words, it's not providing you immunity. This is the reason why even CDC from the US changed the definition of a vaccine from providing immunity to providing protection. And I have to restate that when they approved, even under condition, these injections, and they call them vaccines, they relied to the definition of the vaccine before they changed it. So even initially, these injections were not providing immunity. Now, the second element of the definition of a vaccine, stopping the transmission of the virus, they did not even test that. And they admitted that publicly. But now we go to the other aspect of the narrative that was told to us, that these injections, besides being effective, they are safe. Now we are a year, 2 years now, into this madness. And the question raised by more and more people is, are they really safe? I mean, clearly they're not effective. Are they safe? And here's the map again. Countries with the highest vaccination rate right now have the highest mortality rate. When we raised this issue first, some of our clips were deleted from the social media because unknown people, unelected people, decided that it's so-called fake news. But let's rely now on one of the reports released by EMA. Every month, EMA, European Medical Agency, they release what is called the COVID-19 vaccines safety update, right? The last one was released on December 8th, 2022. On page 7 from that report, this is the page. It says the following, and I quote, as of 23 November 2022, EU drug vigilance contained the following in the case of Comirnaty. Just pay attention. A total of 906 967,351 cases of suspected side effects spontaneously reported after the person was vaccinated. 967,000 cases. These are people. Out of these people who reported spontaneous side effects, not long-term effects after months, no, spontaneous effects, 8,366 of these reported were fatal. In other words, people died. These are not statistics. 8,368 is not a number in the report released by EMA. These are people. These were people who voted for many of us to be here and fight for them. These were people who trusted the media, who trusted their officials, elected or unelected officials, who told them these injections are safe and effective. They were lied to, and unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of people had to suffer adverse effect, and over 8,000 of them died. This is not fair. It is not fair to the people, and this is not what EU should stand for. This is the reason why I asked in the plenary of the European Parliament the creation of the so-called Big Pharma's Victims Reparation Fund. It's exactly the same principle as is used when a company is polluting the atmosphere, that the polluters pay. In this case, these big pharma companies have to fund or finance a fund where these people who trusted their narrative and got injected and now they are victims, innocent victims of this, will be compensated. As we said initially, we are here for you and we will fight for you. This is what we've done and this is what we'll do. Thank you.